Good morning. Mr. Darren Walker, our esteemed graduation speaker, faculty and staff, honored guests, parents, family members, and above all, the class of 2017. It is my honor to welcome all to the commencement ceremony of the Johns Hopkins University's Paul H. Nitze School of Advanced International Studies. Today, we celebrate the graduating class of 2017, the 73rd in the school's history. I think we can. Let's just sit. Please, have your seats. You don't want to be standing throughout all of my talk. Hailing from 48 different countries, you created a truly global footprint inside and outside of the classroom. When you arrived, some of you wanted to pursue careers in finance, others came so you could learn to conduct fieldwork in Africa, and many of you intend to serve your country as diplomats. The rich diversity of ambitions and goals of your student body is what makes us so special. All of you, in your difference, found a home here in our unique community of globe-trotting polyglots, innovative thinkers, and passionate activists. When I joined the school 5 years ago, I immediately knew that I had arrived at a special place that is both connected to history and committed to shaping the future. In 1943, war raged in Europe and Asia. Global leaders were laying the foundation for a new international order. A small group of distinguished government officials, business leaders, and academics became acutely aware of what was needed. A graduate institution that would prepare young women and men for leadership in that post-war world. From their vision, dedication, and personal commitment, the School of Advanced International Studies was born. The school's founders shaped the world we live in today. John Kennedy served as operating chief of the Marshall Plan during the Truman administration. Paul H. Nitze was one of the chief architects of US policy towards the Soviet Union. The school grew out of a period of transformation in the international order. And today we meet at another such moment, this time challenged by issues such as European integration, climate change, the rise of American populism, and a global refugee crisis. Your time at Johns Hopkins SAIS has prepared you to look at these issues critically, thoughtfully, and in the context of history. The combined study of theory, rigorous economics, languages, and cultures has set our students and graduates apart from their peers for over 7 decades. For this, I would like to especially thank our dedicated faculty. It is their commitment to scholarship and passion for teaching that forms the foundation of the prestigious education you have received. But success in the real world requires more than prestigious book learning. Who you are as people is just as important as the policies you will create, the solutions you will find, and the institutions you will lead. That is why we pushed you to get out of the classroom. You went to Scotland, where you analyzed the Jacobite revolt of 1745. In Nanjing and Beijing, you discussed the contentious politics of the South China Sea with Chinese policymakers. In Myanmar, where 84% of rural homes have no access to electricity, you studied the government's plans to establish universal access by 2030. You traveled to Curitiba, Brazil, a place famous for its sustainability, to examine how to replicate the city's environmental policies in other countries. The hundreds of events we hosted in Washington, Bologna, and Nanjing expanded your knowledge beyond the classroom. You engaged heads of state, war correspondents, central bankers, and media moguls. Just 2 weeks ago, former US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice warned us of the dangers of American disengagement in the world. Earlier, former Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi discussed his strategy to fight populism in Europe. And Jeff Bader, a Johns Hopkins SAIS alumnus and founder of the eyewear company Warby Parker, shared the secrets of becoming a highly successful entrepreneur. This kind of experiential learning brings the world to you while also ensuring you interact with its people, cultures, and institutions. For students of international relations, there can be no other way to learn, and practically speaking, we cannot afford to do otherwise. Every day, the news headlines remind us of the ever-present clarion call to those seeking a safer, more equitable, and just global order. Here I recall the words of Tom Countryman, a career Foreign Service officer who retired from the State Department earlier this year. In his farewell remarks to the diplomatic corps, he said, "What you do in this building tomorrow can mean another generation will live in a habitable world, can enjoy peace and liberty. It is now your time to do the same." I know that some of you might be thinking, it's not the best time to serve. There is a federal hiring freeze in Washington, and partisan gridlock stunts policymaking. For those of you with ambitions outside of Washington, the rest of the international order may seem just as challenged by the forces of partisanship, cultural division, and economic inequality. During times like these, some may dispute the merits of working on international affairs, but I beg to differ. People who can understand and translate the complexities of a changing world and can lead effectively with that knowledge in hand are needed now more than ever before. As you lead, remember that you will not be alone. You now enter what we affectionately call the Size Mafia. We are a lifelong alumni association of friends, peers, and colleagues who are constantly looking out for one another. Together, we form an impressive professional network reaching the highest levels of policymaking, the private sector, and civil society. Among our ranks are former Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, CNN anchor Wolf Blitzer, former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, Nobel laureate Jody Williams, and the Honorable Sui Tiankai, China's ambassador to the United States. With this graduating class, total number of alumni worldwide is now 19,000. You will come to benefit from the generous support and guidance of this community. And it is my honor to recognize one of those alumni today, Cero Hagen, as the recipient of the Founders Award for her extraordinary support of this school. And please join me in congratulating Sarah and thanking her for her dedication. Now, if there is one sentiment that uniformly defines our alumni, it is their desire to serve. Your class embodied this by working with community organizations to serve the underprivileged in the Washington, D.C. region. You engaged your peers in over 30 student clubs while also diligently organizing school-wide activities such as the International Dinner and the Cherry Blossom Ball. For your class gift, you partnered with the school's Sustainability Task Force to seed a green fund to establish environmentally friendly facilities on campus. Your accomplishments and contributions embody all that you have to offer the world. You have made your mark here, and now we send you off to raise the Johns Hopkins SAIS flag everywhere. Great policy minds are needed. I myself was once in your shoes. Today, I'm still a student of international relations. It is an educational experience that lasts a lifetime. We watch world events in real time, searching for how to best shape them. But people like us will never be outside observers to such happenings. Instead, we are intimate players in their destinies. With that comes great responsibility to be patient. We must understand that this work is hard, often taking years and decades to come fruition and to witness progress. I'm reminded of President John F. Kennedy, who inspired a generation of doers, all motivated by a common mission to serve. Let us move forward in that same spirit at Johns Hopkins SAIS. It is our mission to serve a global community, an international order, and the billions of people around the world in search of a better life. It is our job to help them. It is also our job to take care of each other. The world is more complex, more interconnected, and more vulnerable. Tackling complex challenges requires intellect, commitment, but also collaboration and empathy. We must always strive to be honest brokers for the people, institutions, and countries we will represent. Johns Hopkins SAIS has provided you with a firm foundation to enter this world. It is now up to you to shape it and make it your own. We are proud of your accomplishments and will continue to be proud as you raise the Johns Hopkins flag everywhere you go. I know that you remember what it means to think critically, to root your perspectives in theory and practice, but also in compassion and understanding. To be futuristic in your thinking, but keep your ideas grounded in history and lessons already learned. And finally, to remember who you are and what you stand for. With this in mind, I'm confident that you will serve with integrity and honesty, and you would lead with purpose. Congratulations and good luck. Now it's my pleasure to introduce this year's recipient of our Founders Award, Cero Hagen. As graduates, you will come to benefit from the generous support and guidance from fellow alumni all over the world. It is my honor to recognize one of those alumni today, Cero Hagen. The award is given to an individual who has provided extraordinary support to the school. And Sarah also comes from a family that has had extraordinary commitment to SAIS. Her grandfather, John Kenny, received this award in 1987. I'm personally grateful to Sarah for serving as a member of Johns Hopkins SAIS's Board of Advisors since 2007, and also for her leadership as chair of the board beginning in March 2014. She has been a trusted advisor and a true friend to me during my tenure here at SAIS, and her wisdom and experience have helped shape the school's many accomplishments over the years. As a trustee of Johns Hopkins University and a board member of the Applied Physics Lab there, Sarah also advances our mission among the broader Hopkins family. While her tenure as chair comes to a close this year, we are grateful that she will continue to support the school as a member of its board. She will also remain a powerful force in shaping the SAIS Women's Alumni Network. Her leadership in advancing women's empowerment in the field of International Affairs is deeply appreciated by our many alumni who have benefited from her wisdom and guidance. Like all of you, she began her global journey at SAIS, where she received an MA in Latin American Studies. After graduation, Cero worked in print and television journalism. And after a successful career as a reporter and communications consultant, she dedicated herself to nonprofit institutions engaged in humanitarian relief, development, and global education. As co-chair of the International Rescue Committee from 2010 to 2016, and as a board member, she advocated on behalf of refugees and the displaced. Cero is also a prominent advocate for women's rights. She helped launch the Fuller Project for International Reporting, an organization that reports critical news on women. The sum of her experiences and affiliations reflects a person deeply committed to advancing the human condition, both at home and abroad. For her sense of mission and purpose, we are privileged to call her an alumna of Johns Hopkins SAIS. And for her long-standing support of the school's mission, we honor her today as the 2017 recipient of the Founders Award. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Dean Nasser, and thank you to SAIS for this great honor. Above all, I wish to congratulate my fellow graduates of the School of Advanced International Studies today and their families. I know well how hard all of you have worked to come to this moment. In a manner of speaking, SAIS has run in my family for 3 generations. My grandfather, W. John Kenny, was among a small group of statesmen led by Paul Nitze and Christian Herder to bring to life this idea of a graduate school pioneering new methods of teaching women and men to cope with the international responsibilities that would fall to the United States in the post-war world. My uncle David Kenny, a career Foreign Service officer, attended SAIS. My husband Peter O'Hagan and I met while studying respectively Canada and Latin America at SAIS, and my mother, Eleanor Kenny Farquhar, served on the SAIS Board of Advisors. In truth, when the founders conceived of SAIS's mission, they were focused largely on American foreign policy. By the time Peter and I enrolled, a more international and indeed global perspective prevailed, but the Berlin Wall still stood and all it represented, and somehow households and businesses operated in the absence of commercial internet service. Your world today, and indeed our world, is, to purloin from Tom Friedman, hot, flat, and crowded. Disruption is both a daily concern and the highest accolade we confer on inventors. You SAIS graduates are as likely today to be management consultants and social entrepreneurs as scholars and aspiring stateswomen and men. But you step into a world where your rigorous economic training, area studies expertise, and integrative mindset are, as Vali emphasized, needed as never before. Wherever you go and whatever national passport you carry, great causes, institutions, and adventures await you. I truly congratulate you, and as well I want to welcome you to that secret global society, the SAIS Alumni Network. Thank you.
It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the 2017 Johns Hopkins SAIS Commencement speaker, Mr. Darren Walker, the president of the Ford Foundation. When it came time for the Ford Foundation to select a new president in 2013, it was not a surprise that Mr. Walker was chosen to fill the role. The opportunity was a confirmation of his gifts in building resources to serve philanthropy and as a problem solver and leader in nonprofit and development worlds for 2 decades. He had led the philanthropy committee that brought resolution to the city of Detroit's historic bankruptcy. As vice president of the Rockefeller Foundation, he managed to rebuild New Orleans' initiative after Hurricane Katrina. And in the 1990s, Mr. Walker oversaw a comprehensive revitalization program of Central Harlem as Chief Operating Officer of the Abyssinian Development Corporation, Harlem's largest community development organization. And today he has directed the Ford Foundation to take leadership in tackling poverty and inequality across the world. He graduated from the University of Texas Law School and moved to New York to practice law. He eventually transitioned to finance, landing a position at UBS where he sold mortgage-backed securities. His success in law and finance, however, were no match for his talent for friendship and social connection, a critical trait that has established the foundation for his future success in philanthropy. But genuine leadership, as Mr. Walker shows, goes beyond just personality and connections. It must be guided by the articulation of values. During his tenure, promoting social change, strengthening democracy, reducing poverty, and advancing human achievements have become distinctive values shaping the Foundation's brand. In the case of Mr. Walker, they also define the man. Born in a charity hospital in Lafayette, Louisiana, he is the son of a nurse's aide. As a child, he participated in the first iteration of the Head Start program, which provided early education, health, and nutrition services to low-income children and their families. Today, he leads the nation's second-largest philanthropy, serves on the boards of the Carnegie Hall, the New York City Ballet, and PepsiCo. And in 2016, he was named to Time Magazine's annual list of the 100 most influential people in the world. His dynamic and transformative life begs many questions. How did he get here? What did he learn along the way? And what wisdom can he impart for dealing with a changing world? We look forward to learning from his path and how his lessons might guide our graduates, the next generation of global leaders. So without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to welcome Mr. Darren Walker, the president of Ford Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean. Thank you, and good morning. Good morning, and thank you to Dean Nasser, to the faculty and staff of SAIS, and most importantly to you, the class of 2017. Congratulations. Now, I am really excited to congratulate and recognize you for your brilliance, your achievement, and the dazzling futures I know you will all have. But before we do that, I want to also recognize some other people, the people who have loved you on your journey and supported you and made it possible for you to be here, to walk the path that you have walked. I remember what it felt like. My mother, born into abject poverty in the American South, who never could have imagined gracing the beauty of a university campus, to see her son have 3 graduations was something that was simply unthinkable to her in her youth. But it was possible because anything is possible in this country. And I want to recognize and ask you, graduates, to stand and recognize all of the people around this historic hall who have made it possible for you to be here today. It's their triumph, too. So I'm thrilled to be with you on this special, most auspicious, wonderful occasion, and I'm honored and grateful that you've included me among your venerated ranks. And looking into your faces, graduates, and learning from your impressive accomplishments and inspiring aspirations, I have to say that today I feel better about the state of international diplomacy than I have in quite some time. And as a card-carrying member of the global community, I have been disheartened by the notion that, at least in some corners, being a global citizen is considered a bad thing. But class of 2017, in an age of alternative facts, you have dedicated yourselves to larger truths. In a culture and a climate where many are tempted to oversimplify, you see nuance and you don't shy away from complexity. In a time of risk to and possibly even a retreat from global alliance, you are champions of interdependence and interconnection. As masters of international studies, as the newest alumni of this premier institution for the study of global affairs, your perspectives, your insight could not be more indispensable at this time in the world. But of course, you don't need me to opine on the state of the world today. You know how the global order has shifted during these last few years and how these shifts have affected multinational institutions and global governance. You know that even though we have made great strides in reducing global poverty, inequality persists, and in many places in the world, it is in fact worsened. And you know that authoritarian governments continue to trample on essential human rights and democratic freedoms, whether they shut down protesters or a free press. And you know that we are in fact seeing today some democracies beginning to follow their lead. And yet it is worth remembering that while today's constellations of threats to democratic values are unique, they are not without precedent. Consider democracy's existential threat of the last century, the Second World War. In 1941, months before America's entry into the war, President Franklin Roosevelt outlined what he called the Four Freedoms. Then and now, these are the essential freedoms that all people should enjoy. Freedom of speech, freedom of belief, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. This is more than an American ideal. These four freedoms have become an international ideal. In fact, they're the opening lines of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And while these freedoms are, in Thomas Jefferson's words, self-evident, they are not inevitable. Quite the contrary. In fact, our freedoms come with the responsibility to protect them, promote them, and extend them to others. Because despite what the cutting-edge thinkers of the 18th century espoused, in reality, fundamental rights aren't merely derived from our nature. They are delivered by our actions. So let's take freedom of belief as one example. The free exercise of religion is hollow if the person practicing their faith or preaching their beliefs is somehow penalized for doing so, whether they're teased or mocked, barred from a job or a neighborhood, or denied their due process. So with the freedom of belief comes a responsibility to accept and understand others, to make the differences that make our societies stronger. That's our responsibility, and this is true for all our freedoms. With the freedom of speech comes the responsibility to listen especially to views that are different from our own, to engage with civility and an open mind. And with freedom from want comes the responsibility to serve. Good fortune is half chance. So those of us on the inside of the circle of opportunity share a responsibility to push its borders outward. And last but not least, to advance freedom from fear, we have a responsibility to act in opposition to those who would spread it. And this class of 2017 is what I want you to consider on this seminal day in your life. How do we embrace our responsibility to act in the face of fear? Now, for starters, what do I mean by freedom from fear? There are a lot of things to be afraid of. Climate change, the rise of nationalism in Europe or hate groups here in the United States, political instability in South America and the Middle East, nuclear proliferation like in North Korea. And today, for some of you, freedom from fear might mean freedom from nagging questions like, how am I going to pay off my student loans? But all kidding aside, fear seems increasingly ubiquitous and unavoidable. And for FDR in his time, freedom from fear depended narrowly on, as he put it, a worldwide reduction of armaments. For us today, however, it's easy to see the advance of fear on many fronts. Fear is both a product of and sometimes a cause of our own vulnerability. And inequality in all its forms engenders much of this vulnerability in all of its shapes. There's fear about not being able to pay the bills or put food on the table for some. There's fear of how we might be treated based on our skin color, or faith, or sexual orientation, or gender. There's fear that you might be denied the right to determine your own future, to rise as high as your talent and your hard work will take you. And fear, along with hopelessness, is more than a byproduct of inequality or a response to feeling simply threatened. Fear itself, to echo FDR, can be wielded as a weapon, as a threat to democratic values. It keeps people from organizing and speaking out, from being themselves, and from fighting for what is right. Fear compels societies to divide along lines of us versus them. It entices the desperate, the frustrated, the furious and angry to make decisions that drive societies apart. Fear, in fact, seizes upon our differences and exaggerates them. Fear empowers demagogues and strongmen who exploit people's anxieties while amassing power for themselves and their cronies. And fear drives governments, even democratically elected governments, to make decisions that seem to preserve law and order at the expense of freedom and dignity. For those reasons, among many others, freedom from fear is essential to a healthy, functioning society. And there is no better guardian of this freedom, no better defender of the vulnerable than our civil society. Committed, compassionate, engaged citizens working and organizing themselves and mobilizing others to work on behalf of others. At the Ford Foundation, we believe that one of the most troubling trends in the world today is the outright assault on civil society. Indeed, during these last several years, many countries have begun to restrict the right to assemble, impeding the work of civil society organizations of NGOs and faith groups and associations of the discounted, the disregarded, and the disenfranchised. People and groups who challenge unjust laws are often persecuted and punished without due process. And again, I regrettably have to say, this is happening as well in democracies, not just under authoritarian regimes. And clearly there is reason for fear today, but there is also reason for hope. And I choose to be optimistic because I see so many people fighting courageously in a concerted and compassionate effort. Every day on every continent on this planet, they take action for dignity, for fairness, and for the democratic values they believe in. In the favelas of Brazil, where black men are routinely killed by police, organizations like Redes de Mar are bringing the community together to denounce violence and raise their collective voice. In the courtrooms of Zimbabwe, where unjustly incarcerated demonstrators face persecution and prosecution, Zimbabwe lawyers for human rights are providing emergency legal support. And on the streets of Uganda, where the LGBT community has been oppressed by the government, organizations the Ford Foundation support, like Sexual Minorities Uganda, have risen to the challenge to take on unjust laws and defend human rights despite the personal risk to them. And so on every continent, these brave men and women are speaking truth to power, forging relationships with local communities and understanding their concerns. And by taking these actions, they are helping people to feel less vulnerable. And you can bet that more than a few of the leaders of these organizations sat exactly where you sit today. I think of Jody Williams, who sat where you sat today many years ago, a SAIS graduate who was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her work as part of the international campaign to ban landmines. When Jody joined the campaign in 1992, there were only 2 NGOs, and she was the only staff person. But she took action, she organized, she got people to notice, and over 5 years later, Jody had grew the campaign to more than 1,300 organizations, crossing 95 countries. And because of ordinary people who she helped organize, their governments began to pay attention, eventually leading to an international treaty to ban anti-personal landmines. And so, class of 2017, the responsibility to act falls on you too. From the fast, full hours you spend on campus here, or in Bologna or Nanjing, and from your countless hours serving around the globe, you know that our collective futures and well-being are intertwined with people and countries thousands of miles away. You know foreign policy isn't some abstraction. It affects the lived experience of untold millions of people. And you know better than almost anybody else that international relations isn't merely an academic exercise. It is an expression of our most noble aspiration to work together with others in common purpose toward a common goal. So wherever you go next, graduates, I challenge you, expand the freedom from fear by fulfilling your responsibility to act. And you can do this whether you're at Foggy Bottom or working as a representative, a diplomat of your own home country, or whether you're making a global impact at the World Bank or another multinational, or working on the ground with an NGO, lifting the voices of constituents and making their voices heard. And no matter where you work, I challenge you to think about the ways you can bring your talents and tools to work for civil society. It will take humility and courage and commitment to spread freedom from fear and create a world that is free of fear. But this freedom and all our freedoms are indeed worth fighting for. It was Nelson Mandela who said this about freedom: "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons will live together in harmony with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Today, so many people around the world are prepared to devote and risk their lives in the same work. So many are taking action to expand the four freedoms, to promote freedom of speech and protect freedom of belief, to advance freedom from want and expand freedom from fear. And there is no group of people more prepared to join them than you. So, class of 2017, I implore you to embrace your responsibility to act in the best tradition of this extraordinary institution from which you graduate today. Act on behalf of those who are afraid, but still aspire to the very freedoms we are so lucky to enjoy. Act with integrity, with care, and with courage. This is your moment, and I am confident that you will seize it. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Walker, for your timely and inspiring remarks and for joining us today. Class of 2017, it is now time to award your degrees, the moment you have worked for so very hard since you first applied to Johns Hopkins SAIS. I would like to ask Noemi Crespo-Rice, Assistant Dean for Student Affairs, and Corey Baker, SAIS's DC Director of Student Life, to come to the podium to introduce the graduating class of 2017.
It is my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of Arts. Let's give them a hand as they walk up. Atishai Abbey. Abigail Phillips Adams. Aisha Al-Mesned. Kate Elizabeth Albers. Ricardo Alfieri. Sayed Jahangir Ali. Farima Alidadi. Andrea Ali. Jacob Alter. Iman Amjid. Kara Elizabeth Anderson. Andres Andrade. Mark Andrews. Zachary Angoff. Mercy Ajwa Pokia Angwa. Henry Ann Redder. Amber Molly Antioch. Jacob Aram. Andrea Aricali. Lucas Friedrich Audenried. Jennifer Babchuk. Kelsey Bockenberg. Joseph Sullivan Baden. Christina Rita Bunop. Cecilka Banu. Nelson Jesse Barnett. Adele Barzilay. Larissa Liebeck. Frederick Bengston. Anne Bernier. Lillian Bidu. Eric Bidelow. Curtis Blaine. Christian Bongiorno. Adrienne Books. Ian Charles Bugby. Michael Joseph Bunting. Fareed Zaman Butt. Nicolo Canizaro. Robert Casanova. Lauren Nicole Caserta. Michael Tristan Cass Anthony. Max Castillo. Duong Sen. Tunahang J. Lun. Kamal Shakaroon. Han Mei Chan. Sunil Chandran. Chandra Sekarang Gayatri. April Chung. Dorothea Cheek. Charles Oscar Chen. Yan Chen. Chua Chen. Ye Yung Chu. Janet Fernandez Clark. Chloe Danielle Colbert. Catherine Connolly Canmaz. Caleb Kell Howard Cope. Joseph Kosha. Caitlin Coyle. Gavin Cunningham. Christopher Zawinski. Mary D'Amico. Alexander Dekai Serling. Matthew Michael Duswa. Lisa Dawn Dice. Tyler Devaney. Sarah Diptas. Joseph Dowling. Katrina Ann Duxey. Sean Doyle. John Drennan. Aaron Dumbacher. Christopher Charles Dunnett. Sundas Mohammed Adib. Sarah Elizabeth Eisman. Christoph Erber. Mareed Caitlin Erskine. Toma Escande. Michael Esfani. Jillian Evans. Marco Eilat. Le Fei Feng. Stephanie Faulkner. Allison Ficus. Nicholas Fimick. Noah Finley. Alana Fishman. Rose May Fishman. Matthew Forster. Leo Forder. Jeremy Ward Fuller. Shitong Gao. Yi Chio Gao. Jonathan Perry Garbos. George Gideon Ashi. Matthew G. Cyril Garretts. Jeffrey Alexander Gibson. Sarah Louise Mariah Golden. Jeffrey David Galladay. Pelayo González Escalada Mena. Anna Goodman. Brittany Merrill Grable. Ethan Fox Green. Matthew John Greenman. Gino Grilli. Anthony Grimaldo. David Benjamin Groman. Anchi Guan. Jingyi Guo. Kevin Hack. Maggie Jacob Janyan. Jonathan Hall Eastman. Faisal Hamid. Katie Hammer. Angela Hanna. Max Harden. Christina Nicole Harp. Zachary Dobson Harris. Valerie Hartwick. Ulastina Hentonen. Monica Teresa Herman. Julia Herman. Matthew Lambert Hess. Fatima Al-Zahara Hawaidi. Samuel Holt. Chan Min Dennis Hong. Corinne Marie Holgacker. Rie Horiuchi. Catherine Joy Hasselton. Lauren Hoy. Kang Li Huang. Chi Fan Huang. Gabriella Hoodert. Ross Hurwitz. Fabio Iannuzzelli. Samuel Irwin. Olga Eisenberg. Kelly John Isom. Nathaniel David Ives. Robin Ivory. Christopher Edward Jackson. Thomas Jackson. Diana Javadi. Analota Florentine Jens. Michael Jernigan. Ashley Helen Johnson. Jacqueline Johnson. Caleb Jones. Jessica Jones. Sarah Jones. Sally Lees Judson. Catherine Ann Kaiser. Joseph Kamali. Seva Korpuskaitha. Alexander Jonathan Katz. Buket Katkodja. Cullen Kavusi. Uryo Kawano. Ornella Kaze. Patrick Kelly. Hillary Kelly. Sheryar Khan. Michael Kayan Luncharitz. Joy King. Zoe Kirschenberg. Flavio Kleisen. Nathan Minard Kohlenberg. Annabella Korbatov. Peter Kuretsos. Andrew Kovtun. Brian Krepley. Winston Kang. In-hyuk Kwan. Chen-Chi Lai. Pei Yuen Lan. Hei Wan Lee. Andrew Kevin Stewart Leadham. Melissa Levy. Miao Su Lee. Yun Hui Lin. Hung Rei Liu. Mason Liu. Peter Loftkis. Edward Mark Logan. Maria Lopez Conde. Maximilian Lowenthal. Anne Marie Lund. Shin Yue Ma. Serena Maria McCool. Angela Madero. Tanvi Madhusudana. Joseph Mahak. Aniket Matra. Kai Malden. Corbett Manders. Leonidas Malcantonatos. Janae Martin. Nikki Masgati. Bradley Jack McAuliffe. Connor McCune. Robert Ward McGillis. Sean McKnight. Gautam Vishram Mehta. Mung Mung. Rachel Minogue. Sarah Moyne. Weldon Daniel Montgomery. Jung Woo Moon. Michelle Mora. Catherine Morrissey. Tara Mitchell Mullen. Shweta Murley. Daniel James Murphy. Christopher Kevin Mert. Nicholas Num. Fatima Nanavati. Alexander Nelson. Leighton Nelson. Benjamin Craig Newman. Hannah Niemeyer. Nick Emmanuel Noel. Stephen Novak. Andras Ola. William Thomas Ozanik. Denisa Paholska. Natasha Panjawani. Karina Panyan. Yenju Park. Ashley Nicole Patton. Kedar Paggi. David Padigo. Miguel Pereira Mendez. Madalena Paretti. Stephanie Lee Phipps. Sarah Piccini. Lorenzo Angelo Piccio. Karen Natalia Benzone. Benjamin Pollock. Jason Pomper. Kyle Joseph Potanic. Emmett Francis Potts. Samantha Eve Powell. Samantha Elizabeth Power. Julia Alexandra Price Madison. Lauren Ashley Purnell. Christina Maria Cody Pushaw. Wen Chong Chu. George Aurelian Quist. Krishnan Raghavan. Namita Rajesh. Catherine Elise Rayleigh. Samuel Walker Ranson. Sid Ravi Shankar. Evan Theodore Rivak. Edward Rivera. Jae Hyun Ro. Lemuel Robinson. Falak Russian Law. Regina Rossman. Christina Elizabeth Rowland. Ruji Edmond. Merdad Saberi. Jahanara Said. Julia Sáenz Ortigosa. Spencer Salibor. Hamat Singh Sandhu. Anna Sarnik. Sadia Sarwar. Ian Andrew Shada. Anna Christina Schmidl. Alexander Schober. Danielle Schwab. Aaron Scott. Sarah Sebar. Carly Samantha Siegel. Birkin Shafat Shenner. Darnell Schaefer. Dongjin Chen. Anushree Shetty. Lee Kyung Shim. Brandon Silberman. Alexander Simon. Francis Simons. Rushita Singh. Alex Schlesinger. Natasha Anwe Soon. Ramata So. Julia Spaggiati. Jason Spicer. Ashwini Sranivas. Arti Srivasta. Max Stadler. Elias Stahl. Jeffrey Stein. Coco Stevens. Kaylee Jewel Stevens. Robert Stewart. Fotios Travoradis. Catherine Hart Strickland. Crystal Elaine Styron. Kevin William Sushernick. Sarah Ann Sullivan. Daniata Suresh Gowda. Lee David Sutton. Sanitawan Tan. Valerie Tar. Tatara Christopher. Excuse me, that should be Christopher Tatara. Julie Athena Tavlis. Bianca Tadisco. It Tirarat. Ashley Elizabeth Thompson. Natalie Kathleen Bon Tomyor. Alexander Michael Thorpe. Irene Tombo. And Tuzania Miller. Ali Jan Uzun. Karina del Pilar Vadillo. Cristina Valdez Pineda. Raquel Iliana Valle. Caitlin Marie Gary Van Dam. Amanda Van Gilder. Matthew Van Putten. James Vandenberg. Francesco Varotto. Anahita Vasudevan. Andrew Venselek. Fernando Felipe Ventura Rodriguez. Travis Patrick Vincent. Eli Wallach. Nan Wong. Yi Hui Wong. Yun Chu Wong. Jiao Mengchi Wong. Madora Wadangnasis. Wen Ting Wei. Gregory Wiseman. Tao Nguyen. Benjamin Westfall. Malcolm Whitehead. Andrew Whiting. David Balcero Wilbur. Madison Philip Wilcox. Samuel Ryan Williford. Galen Darlington Winey. Jeffrey Wood. Jin Shin Wu. Mei Ying Shu. Yi Shu. Jen Kun Shu. Bo Yang Shui. Anran Yun. Zhe Dong Yang. Jia Nan Ye. Brandon Yeah. Sydney Yannick. Pui Shen Yung. Chana Catherine Yu. Mung Di Yue. Grant Michael Joseph Zapula III. Shin Zung. Fujia Zhang. Jie Zhang. Jingwei Zhang. Jingyi Zhang. Chihang Zhang. Yuan Zhang. Xuefei Zhao. Suchi Zhou. Liang Zhu. Aaron Zucker. Let's give them all a hand.
Thank you. It is now my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of International Public Policy. Stephen Abrams. Nicholas Adams. Matthew Altamar. Desiree Maxino Bandal. Mark James Brass. Francesca Ortiz Caraballo. Timothy David Cox. Beatriz Deanta de Bendito. Nicholas Allen Dewey. Vincent Duenas. Ideyama Acharo. Tyler Falk. Michael Fazio. Fitzpatrick. Mariko Fukau. John Janace. Nasser Ngawa. Smita Jacob. Amal Abdel Fattah Kendale. Augustus Kangas. Gwaram Kamdasril. Scott Koltick. John Lanzetta. Dominic Levan. Shinyo Lim. Hirisho Matsumoto. Mina Matsoka. Joel McFadden. Franklin Morales. Christian Numba. Ijeyama Wodu. Donald Paget. Lawrence Pack. Kim Pang. Mihai Patru. Andrew Kendall Rember. Manaz Saznani. Alexander Shade. Emma Shade. Matthew Schlupner. Trent Scott. Darren Lamont Sorrell. Takanobu Shinoda. Jivan Singh. Casey Stavropoulos. Priyali Sir. John Lawrence Thomas. Angelica Valdez. Philip Van Bentham. Donald Vance. Carlos Christian Vassare. Nathan Woodard. Emin Wu. Mimi Lin Zan. It is now my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of Arts in International Economics and Finance. Xiaoyue An. Anila Becha. Jared David Berry. Matthew Allen Bogdanoff VII. Yuan Chang. Haley Davis. Jorge Clemente de Leon Miranda. Zhao Chuen Gao. Jimmy Haddam. Zhang Wai Ho. Ying Huang. Chuang Jiang. Christopher Johns. Brent Joplin. Mark Jordan. Tariq Khan. Marco Kim. Palomi Mehta. Tebo Maloswa. Junrei Ren. Philip Axel Rindam. Yuting Xiao. Linda Shuku. Valentin Sierra Arias. Chi Song. Simon Peter Staley. Yingjuan Wang. Zhang Wang. Zujiao Wang. Zun Wei. Kaifeng Xia. Donghan Shu. Ningqin Yan. Bo Yang. Lu Bai Yang. Wei Jun Yang. Fan Yin. Yang Wei Ju. It is now my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of Arts in Global Public Policy. Mad Al-Gatrif. Paula Amdor. Robert William Andrew. Devin Burks Raybook. Christina Demain. Cecilia Mildred Emanuel. Hannah George. Mercedes Diamond Griffin. Taina Guameras Alvarenga. James Herrera. Amy Hisrich. Lauren Lee James. Michelle Gemrisco. Richard James Lee Smith. Shauna Marvel. Eric John Morissette. Robin Oates. Teresa Papaleo. Tiffany Patterson. Theonisa Rigotu. Matthew Robbins. Guan Wong. Joseph Daniel Williams. Rebecca Zilberman. It is now my pleasure to present the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy. Sabina Judith Henneberg. Dissertation title, Governing Uncertainty, Governance in North Africa Following Authoritarian Breakdown in 2011 to 2012. Theodore Andrew Kahn, dissertation title, Elusive Alliances, Local Government, Transnational Capital, and Regional Development in Post-Reform Mexico. Khalid Homayoun Nadiri. Dissertation title, Brokers, Bureaucrats, and the Quality of Government, Understanding Development and Decay in Afghanistan and Beyond. Andrew Whitworth, dissertation title, Banks Unchained, an analysis of how the state lost control of banking and financial instability increased. Constantino Xavier, dissertation title, From Inaction to Intervention, India's Strategic Culture of Regional, From Inaction to Intervention, India's Strategic Culture of Regional Involvement, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar. Please join me in congratulating all of our graduates. I would now like to invite Natasha Spoon, SGA President, to the podium.
Congratulations, fellow graduates. Over the past academic year, the SAIS Student Government Association has been working closely with Johns Hopkins Alumni Association to prepare for a transition from students to alumni. I would now like to invite Mr. Yaffe to the podium.
Good afternoon, graduates. I'm David Yaffe, the president of the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association and a 1974 graduate of the School of Arts and Sciences. I'm here to congratulate all of you on your graduation and to welcome you into the next phase of your Johns Hopkins career as an alumnus or alumna. After commencement this year, there are more than 212,000 alumni located in almost every imaginable place on our globe. Over 19,000 are SAIS alumni. As you go through your careers, you can count not only on SAIS alumni, but on the graduates of other divisions of the university who are in governments, our own and others, finance, healthcare, tech, and many other endeavors. My eldest daughter, Andrea, a 2001 Arts and Sciences grad from Johns Hopkins, is an official in the Defense Department and would be happy to connect with you. Please consider the Johns Hopkins, you've heard about your very strong SAIS alumni organization. Well, the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association is really a wraparound of your very strong organization. While the SAIS Alumni Association allows you to maintain your network, meet other SAIS alumni, and support SAIS, the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association enables you to connect with other alumni and to maintain contact with the university. We have many social media connection points, as you can imagine, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and our Facebook page, but I particularly urge you to register and connect with the university-wide platform that lets you network directly with alumni as well as find mentoring, internship, and other opportunities. That That platform is easily recognizable as Go Hop Online, one word. SAIS alumni have shown us that the SAIS degree has a broad range of professional possibilities. As has been mentioned, Wolf Blitzer, as a 1972 SAIS graduate, is the lead political news anchor for CNN. Jody Williams, who has also been mentioned, is an alumna who received the Nobel Peace Prize. The Johns Hopkins Alumni Association proudly recognizes alumni for their outstanding accomplishments and leadership. And this year, 4 SAIS graduates were selected to receive awards. They are Martin Frankel of London, who was recognized with the Distinguished Alumnus Award. He is president at Standard & Poor's Global Platts and has also provided many years of service to SAIS Europe. Karl Kramer is honored with the Heritage Award for serving as chair of the SAIS Austria Club for over 3 decades, while also serving in the Austrian government. Former ambassador to Syria, Robert Ford, is the recipient of the Woodrow Wilson Award for distinguished government service. And former Massachusetts House of Representatives member John Lepper is also receiving the Woodrow Wilson Award. These alumni carry on the Johns Hopkins tradition of excellence, and so will you as you venture from Johns Hopkins. I offer my hearty congratulations to you, the class of 2017. Welcome to the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association. And now I would like to invite Peter Lewis, the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs, to the podium to present the student awards. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Nicest day of the year. The Christian A. Herder Award was established by the Friends and Associates of the school's co-founder, Christian A. Herder. This award for distinguished academic performance is presented in honor of the person whose vision and inspiration have encouraged generations of young people to perform effectively with skill and statesmanship in the international arena. The Herder Award is given to students in the second-year class with the highest grade point average for the first 3 semesters. This year, the winner of the Christian A. Herder Award is Gautam Vishram Mehta. Very good. Congratulations. All the best. Sorry. Congratulations, Gautam. The Herder Award is given for scholarship. The most important component of the next award, the William C. Foster Award, is service to SAIS and the community. The certificate reads, for sound scholarship and a record of leadership and distinguished service to SAIS, exemplary of the highest qualities of integrity, loyalty, and ability admired by Mr. Foster. This prize honors the former director of the Arms Control and Disarmament Agency, distinguished businessman, tireless public servant, and devoted SAIS Advisory Council member. The students receiving the Foster Award were selected for significant contributions to SAIS and the community. The 2 recipients of the award are Marco Donghyun Kim and Christian Maximilian Stadler. Marco and Christian? Great. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, good. Okay. Corey Baker will introduce the members of the student government.
In recognition of their dedication and hard work, we would like to acknowledge the members of this year's Student Government Association with a small token of our appreciation. Please come to the podium and stay at front of the stage for pictures as I call your name. Natasha Spoon, President. Max Stadler, Vice President. Aniket Mehta, Treasurer. Christina Valdez-Pineda, Programming Chair. Namita Regis, SAIS Europe Representative. Dennis Hong, Hopkins Nanjing Representative. Ashley Johnson, Hopkins Nanjing Representative. Nick Adams, MIPP Representative. Smita Jacob, MIPP Representative. Priyali Sir, MIPP Representative. Matthew Altamore, MIPP Representative. And Valentin Sierra, MIEF Representative. I would now like to invite Natasha Spoon back to the podium.
Good afternoon, fellow graduates, distinguished faculty, family, and friends. It is an honor to be here with you today. My name is Natasha Spoon, and this year I served as the president of the Student Government Association. As one of the few women elected as SGA president, it has been extremely empowering to serve in this role and inspire other women and minorities to take on leadership positions. As a school located on 3 campuses, Nanjing, Bologna, and Washington, D.C., our paths have brought us all to one place, 1740 Massachusetts Avenue Northwest. Growing up in Seattle, Washington, I never thought that life would lead me here. But like my classmates, I'm extremely grateful for the excellence in education that SAIS has offered. The past 2 years have been difficult, no doubt, filled with late nights at the library, endless problem sets, and never-ending papers. But what has made this experience special has been the friendships and relationships formed along the way. It is also the encouragement from our loved ones that has helped us reach this point. As you are surrounded by those close to you, thank them for their encouragement and their support. But make sure they buy you dinner because you deserve it. I would like to thank my parents for their love and support. It has meant the world to me. As we venture into the great unknown, I encourage everyone here to remember why we came to SAIS, why we found ourselves in DC, studying international relations and economics, and why we continue to seek to change the status quo. I encourage everyone here to remember that the world is made up of small players like ourselves, who in turn can transform into great leaders. It is a challenging time for the world right now, filled with many uncertainties, but let us not forget to do good in whatever way we can. SAIS likes to call us the future leaders of the world, and they're not wrong. In each and every one of us, there is a capacity to achieve our wildest dreams and to effect change, if only we believe in ourselves. Poet Mary Oliver said, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Therefore, fellow graduates, do not shy away from the future, but embrace it. Remember that your life is entirely what you make of it. Congratulations, class of 2017. I look forward to seeing where life takes you. Today, we celebrate one faculty member in particular, whom this year's student body has chosen to receive the Max M. Fisher Prize for Excellence in Teaching. It is my great pleasure to welcome the winner of the 2017 Fisher Prize for Excellence in Teaching, Professor David Steinberg, to the podium.
Thank you so much, Natasha and the student body. It's a real honor and a great pleasure to be able to celebrate this achievement with you and your families and your loved ones. It's a special, even more special for me because I arrived at SAIS at the same time as most of you 2 years ago, and it's been wonderful having you in the classroom, though as I watched you walk up today, I realized that I've had only a really tiny, tiny fraction of you, so I'm glad you each get the opportunity now to have to suffer through at least a few moments of my remarks since you haven't had that pleasure. Having you in the classroom again, the small fraction of you has been such a pleasure. I feel like I've learned more from you than you've probably learned from me. because of that, this is such a rewarding job, and I guess my main hope for you would be to have SAIS given you the opportunity to go out and get a job that you yourselves will enjoy as much as I have enjoyed teaching you. If you're hoping for more profound parting words, I fear I'm probably going to disappoint you, though the previous speakers have been quite eloquent and insightful. So hopefully any disappointment I will leave you here will have been made up for by the previous speakers. But really, more seriously, part of the reason I don't think I have much to add is I think you're all extremely well placed to succeed. You know, had you asked me what one should do, I would probably say go get a SAIS degree. Come to SAIS, work hard. I think you've done well. So if you're sitting here, mission accomplished, and now it's time to go out and make us proud. The one thing I do want to emphasize briefly is to just not forget what you've learned at SAIS. And what I think is more important than what you've learned in the classroom in terms of actual, facts or methods or theories is to remember how to think and to remember to be critical thinkers. For those of you who have taken my courses on international political economy, I assume if you haven't forgot much of what you learned by now, you probably will soon enough as you go to work on more pressing matters. But what I do hope you really don't forget from my class, and what I'm sure has been emphasized in many of your other classes, is your critical thinking skills. Do not take knowledge claims made by pundits, policymakers, or your future employers on faith. So do not blindly accept this information. Be good critical thinkers. This is what we've trained you to do, and we hope you keep doing that. The world needs this more than ever. So thank you again, the students, for this incredible honor. I want to thank as well the Fisher family for creating this wonderful prize to celebrate teaching at SAIS. I want to thank my program director, Charles Darren, the deans, Vali Nasser, especially Peter Lewis, the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs, for all their support, and as well all my colleagues for making this such a wonderful and intellectually stimulating place to work. So thank you all very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Professor Steinberg. As SAIS students, we come from a variety of places and professional backgrounds. We have a full spectrum of interests and passions. More importantly, we pursue those passions with skill and resolve. This year's speaker, Ross Hurwitz, is a true example of these qualities. It is my privilege to welcome him to the podium, my friend and fellow classmate, Ross Hurwitz.
It seems like everything worth saying has already been said, but if you'll indulge me a few minutes, try to make my mother cry a little more. So first, thank you, Dean Nasser, distinguished guests, faculty and staff, friends and family, and most importantly, my fellow graduates, the SAIS class of 2017. Yeah. I think you deserve that. I've stood on many stages in my life. As a professional actor, I've worked in theaters large and small, sometimes playing to an audience of over 1,000, and sometimes being lucky to play to an audience of 10. I've had the privilege to perform some of Shakespeare's greatest roles and sing and dance in some of the theater's greatest musicals. But this stage is one I never imagined I'd be standing on. Growing up, I was always told to find something I was good at, something I loved, and use it to make the world a better place. For a small child, making the world a better place seemed like an unbelievably lofty ambition. The world is so huge, and I was so small. On top of my seemingly prohibitive stature was the equally daunting challenge of finding something that I was not only good at, but that I also loved. In a world of infinite choice, how do you ever know if you've made the right decision? Of course, the answer is you never really know. It's a feeling. It's that thing that gets you out of bed in the morning and ignites your soul. From a very young age, art ignited my passion for life. For me, art is the language of the soul. art is the language through which human beings attempt to grasp the eternal. Art seeks to give life and form to the human experience. Art speaks truth. Art is the fabric that binds us together and the music that lifts our spirits. Art captures reality and illuminates our dreams. Art is the outlet for articulating our deepest pain and our most ecstatic joy. To dedicate your life to art is to commit yourself to reaching across divides and tearing down barriers. Art is about finding the divine within the mundane and sharing it with others. Art is the conduit through which all human beings communicate and understand one another. Now, at this point, you might be scratching your heads and wondering whether or not I realize I'm graduating from SAIS with a degree in international affairs and economics. Clearly, I must be in the wrong place. But I would remind you that my degree and that of many of you today is an MA, a Master of Arts. And while some of you are receiving a different degree, I will still contend that we are all artists in our own way. While we might think that there is more utility in a comprehensive data set or a policy analysis, the heart of all our work, whether in the boardroom or the classroom, whether studying water tables in developing countries or sitting at a negotiating table in Geneva, the heart of this work is art. This work requires us to speak truth, to build bridges and tear down walls. It requires us to connect with one another. Our work is to create a more prosperous and beautiful world for all people, and that is art. Now, as Dean Nasser said earlier, this isn't easy. Whether you see it as art or not, the work of changing the world for the better is daunting and full of endless challenges. Many of us started SAIS a year or two ago, either at Nanjing, Bologna, or here in DC, with a clear picture of the world we would be graduating into. For many of us, that imagined future is now our wholly unexpected and often confusing present. But the skills we learned here at SAIS have prepared us to face the unexpected. The relationships we have built provide the network through which we can advance our shared commitment to improve our world. Our classes in Nizza and Rome, the countless speakers and lecturers, and the always awkward networking events were just as central to our education as lunches in the cafe, Friday happy hours, SAIS's Got Talent, and the Cherry Blossom Ball. Because these experiences remind us that our work is about more than critical analysis. Our work demands creativity and a willingness to look beyond the mundane and the ordinary. It requires all of us to see the extraordinary potential of all people and to share that knowledge in whatever way we can. I'll say this again. This isn't easy. As SAIS students, we dream big. We imagine the world as it can be and look for the solutions to make those dreams a reality. But real change, as any artist can tell you, happens on the micro level. It is tempting to reduce people to statistics, just one more point in a data set. But we must never forget that those statistics are composed of complete and complex human beings with lives and histories and dreams. As artists, our job is to celebrate that humanity. This is accomplished through the small-scale work of reaching out and building relationships that create the momentum of change. A mentor of mine when I was a child, the late civil rights activist Lenny Zakem, once said, "We have the power to change things. It doesn't take much to start a revolution of thought and spirit. It takes one person, and then another, and then another. But when it works, it's a work of art." As we graduate today, entering this new, uncertain, and confusing world with our big ideas and lofty ambitions, it is important to think like an artist. We must remember that we have both the ability and the responsibility to create positive change in our families, our communities, and the world, the responsibility to create the bridges that can overcome divides, one person at a time if need be. The tides of change are working against us. Every day there seems to be a new injustice or a new crisis that needs our attention. It seems tempting to view these problems on the macro level and quickly become overwhelmed by their sheer magnitude. But by committing ourselves to the art of human connection, to building the relationships that inspire change, we will be well on our way to starting that revolution of thought and spirit. As SAIS students and as artists, we not only have the drive necessary to be the next generation of leaders, thinkers, practitioners, and entrepreneurs, we not only have the skills required to develop focused, effective policies and strategies, but also the creative, artistic capacity to see the world for more than what it is, but for what it can be. Thank you, and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much for those inspirational remarks and for so well capturing the essence and spirit of SAIS's mission. Now it is time to celebrate. So I would like to invite all the graduates and their guests to a reception at the arena stage. The information on the reception is in your programs. Now please remain in your seats until the students have walked out. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining us today. Thank you.